What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. The crossroads where culture, lifestyle, and community meet. All hosted by the legendary New York radio TV personality and proud Harlem American, G. Keith Alexander.
Welcome to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. Wherever you are, I appreciate you for joining our neighborhood as we hang out together in Harlem, America. Today, in the What's Hot spotlight is singer, actor Such. Her latest single, Before Dark, a top 40 urban adult contemporary hit, oozes with the growing self-confidence of a woman who knows what she wants and how and when she wants it. Such shares this journey with her new album, Wide Nose, Full Lips. So it is my distinct honor and pleasure to say that my special guest, Such, is What's Hot. Good
Yay!
afternoon. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I understand you're in my hometown, Chicago.
Yes, I'm in Chi-Town. I just had a show here last night.
Really? Where did you perform?
I performed at City Winery.
Very nice. Very nice.
Hmm
Yes. Well, so we're here in Harlem today, and you are in Harlem, America. And so, why don't we take the Wayback Machine and you tell us what it was like in your early years before you got into uh, the arts? How did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up I'm originally from the East Coast. I live in Colorado now. I live in Denver. And I grew up in Long Island in Massachusetts. And I'm Haitian American. My parents immigrated here from Haiti. And my dad's a pastor. So I grew up, going to church, singing at church, and just experiencing that. So that's what it was like before.
Well, singing in church now, of course, I'm imagining that it had to be gospel or spirituals, and
Hmm
your father being a pastor. What was the transition like when he found out that you wanted to go into secular music?
Oh, yeah, that was a whole thing. I mean, interestingly enough, I have 2 degrees in things that I don't work in. First
I'm
degree
sorry,
was in
you say you
exercise
have
science.
oh, okay, you got two
I have two
degrees.
degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, that I don't work in. My first degree was actually exercise science, pre-physical therapy. I wanted to be a physical therapist. And then my second degree, because when I started working with PTs, they were like, oh no, that's an oversaturated field. You should consider nursing. So I actually was a nurse for 4 years. And so by the time I came to music, I was already an adult. When I was 15, I had discovered that I wanted to also sing. I had gotten into an amazing group called the Grammy High School Jazz Ensembles, in which I auditioned, you get in, it's kids from all across the nation. You perform at jazz clubs all over LA. You get to go to the Grammy nominee party and you record a whole album in 10 days. And it was after that moment that I was like, oh my gosh, I could do this. Like I knew that it was like a slice of a musician's life. And so when I came back from that trip, I did a whole PowerPoint presentation for my parents about why they should let me transfer to a performing arts high school. And they were like, yeah, no. They were like, we know we support you, we love you, but that cannot be your plan A. And so I think for them, they didn't know anybody other than struggling musicians. And to them, that just wasn't a viable career. So they were like, why? So I think I like to say that I took the scenic route to music. And I think all of that is super important. And everything that I've experienced just fuels my music and the content and everything. So yeah.
Wow. Well, okay. So now, um, how would you describe your music?
I would say that it's R&B soul with some flecks of, and influences of jazz and gospel, and definitely a lot of neo soul in there too.
And who are your music idols or music
Mm,
icons?
yeah. Um, Definitely, I would say. So, interestingly enough, and I'll just give you this background real quick. When I was 6, my house burnt down. And before then, we weren't allowed to listen to any secular music. And I think that there's just something that happens like when tragedy strikes, how you just start to realize what's important and what's not. And so after that, that was like in the early 90s. That's when my parents really loosened up the reins a little bit. And that was when my secular music education began. So for me, 90s R&B holds a special place in my heart because that's when, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, like there's Luther and there's Prince and there's Michael Jackson and there's Tony Braxton and Boys to Men and, just all those different people. I really feel like every time I hear 90s R&B, it just transports me back to that time. Also, the Queen of Soul herself, Aretha, is huge. I love neo soul, so Jill Scott is a huge one for me too. Erica Badu, Maxwell, Music Soul Child, all those people. But yeah,
Okay, so now, all right, we're talking about your singing career, but when did you start acting? How'd you get that bug?
how'd I get there?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I auditioned for season 11 of American Idol. And that was definitely a life-changing experience, not in the ways that, people would expect, but that some of the people that I met there, other contestants, are lifelong friends. One of the guys that I met there, his name is Anthony. He's on one of my albums. We actually do a duet together, but an amazing artist, has a musical theater degree from Carnegie Mellon. He saw me perform, and afterwards he was like, have you ever considered musical theater? And I was like, I can't act. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I think he just dropped like this nugget, in me where he was like, I think you do really well with musical theater. Fast forward past American Idol, we found out that we lived not too far away from each other. And a director came to one of my shows and he was directing the regional premiere of The Color Purple. And after my show, he was like, I want you to audition for my play. And I was like, I really can't act. So I don't know why all these people are bringing up, acting to me. But something about it made me just be like, well, maybe I should just consider it. And so I went home and I watched The Color Purple and something just came over me where I was like, oh my gosh, I felt so connected to Celia. I was like, I think I could do this. So, not knowing anything, I didn't know the process of even auditioning. I reached out to Matheny. I'm like, I'm going to audition for this musical. And he walked me through the whole process. Um, of just being able to, knowing what dance callbacks are like or everything else. And so I auditioned and I got the part of Celie and it was just amazing. And from that moment, I also met like my agent came to the actual play. Um, and why don't you come in? Let's just see how you are on TV. And I went, and I auditioned on TV and she was like, yep, I'm sending you to commercials. And so that's how I began acting.
Really?
I began acting. Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, when I first started, acting, it was like if someone asked you if you could do it, you say yes and fake it till you make it,
Right. I
But
should have.
yeah, but you were telling people I can't act.
I was like,
Act
I
like
don't know why this is. I know I should have been like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, I should have.
Right. Yeah, but hey, but it has worked out for you. And
Yeah.
so, any other acting projects that we should know about that may be coming up or that you've done?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of commercials during the pandemic, honestly, and it's been commercials that are, they can be educational commercials or whatever else. Nothing that I think you guys would necessarily know, but there are always things that pop up. So I'll keep you posted.
Oh, good. Because I know a few days ago you were on a commercial shoot when we
I
reached out
was.
to you. Yeah.
Yes, I was. Yep.
Just in case we see it, what commercial or what might
Yeah,
that have been?
it was for a dental company. I was playing a receptionist.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Hey,
Yeah,
I've done a few TV commercials myself, so
I know that's right.
oh yeah, hey, I love it. So all right, now let's see. Let's tell me what was it like on American Idol, and what happened to you or for you on American Idol, aside from being noticed by someone who wanted you to do a musical?
So I would say, so basically, I made it to the end of Hollywood Week. I don't know if you're familiar with the format, but basically, long before you see the judges, there are like four preliminary auditions where you're auditioning for different uh, producers. And then the last audition before you actually see the judges is the executive producer round, which I actually think is probably the most important one. And so, I made it to the judges round, auditioned for them. I made it to Hollywood Week. And I sang Natural Woman. That's what I
Oh,
sang for the
really?
judges. Yes.
Okay.
And so the year that I was on, the judges were Steven Tyler, Randy Jackson, and Jennifer Lopez.
Hmm.
And I think what American Idol did to me, so I made it all the way to the end of Hollywood Week where you make it through the group round and then you also then you perform with the band, like the first time that you perform with the band. And every time you perform not only for the judges, but in front of all the contestants too. And after you perform, they tell you right then and there whether you're going to the next round or whether you're going home. So there isn't any like you're not sitting around waiting for a long time. I think what American Idol did for me, the biggest thing that it did for me, because I was so terrified that being on such a huge stage and hearing a no would sort of crush my dream and would stop me from wanting to pursue singing. I think what it did for me was, of course, I got eliminated and I was devastated. But I realized like a few days later, I was like, oh, I still want to sing and I still
Hmm.
have things to say. And
Hmm.
so what I think it did for me was was the very first step in me realizing that every no is just one step closer to a yes. And so that there wasn't going to be a no that would stop me from doing this. So that was a really important lesson for me to learn and for me to realize that there would be lots of no's on this journey. But all I'd need is really the right yeses. So,
Very good. Now,
yeah.
the way I frame a no is, if someone tells me no, they really don't mean no. They just haven't been convinced yet.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now, so you've moved along, and when did you decide to? What made you decide to sit down now and put pen to paper and write your own music?
So I would say that, I mean, I started to write my music out of necessity, which a lot of times that is what fuels things like, oh, I have no other options, so I need to make this happen. My whole first album, which I consider to be sort of like a glorified demo, you can't find it anywhere. It's like on SoundCloud, was completely written in my basement. Um, and I didn't know what I was doing. I remember I reached out to several producers, and the amount that they were trying to charge was like so much. And I was like, oh, I don't have that. So it came out of necessity. And then that's how it started. But then I really started to fall in love with the craft and really enjoy the art of songwriting. And so I think you know, what's really fun is that if you listen to the progression of my songs from my very
Hmm.
first album, Stretch Marks, to Wide Nose, Full Lips, there
Hmm.
is definitely, you can hear how wordy I am, earlier on, trying to stuff as many ideas and thoughts into songs.
Hmm.
And then I figured out that, oh, I can condense things and I can, just there's a way, there's an art to songwriting. And it's been a really wonderful journey of figuring that out and I continue to.
So, do you think you're a great songwriter, or you're getting there?
I feel like I'm a work in progress. I think it has to do with I think sometimes I feel like some of my best songs have been me getting out of my own way
Hmm.
and just doing the song justice and being as authentic in that song as possible. So
So,
I'm on
so the
my way. Yeah.
you okay. So you just mentioned that the name of the album, your first album, was Stretch Marks, and then
Yes.
you've got another album which is called Wide Nose, Full Lips.
Mhm.
What are you trying to say? What are you are you trying to give the uh, public the impression that everything is okay, that there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with any of those things?
Yeah, you know what? So, yeah, the first album was Stretch Marks, the second album was Trial and Error, and the third one is Wide Nose Full Lips. And I feel like each of those things, what I love the most about being an artist is that every song and every project is a snapshot of where I am in that moment.
Hmm.
And so with the first album, yes, there was definitely the beginning of the embracing of certain things about myself that, people look at stretch marks like they are, scars, and people look at scars like they're not the best thing, but every scar tells a story. And so stretch marks are beautiful because they make you who you are. And
Hmm.
with trial and error, I feel like a lot of times we feel like we have to get everything right the first time. But so much of life is trial and error. And you got to try it to figure out whether you like it, whether you're good at it, and all these different things. And the only way that you get better at something is by actually doing it.
Right.
And with Wide Nose Full Lips, that has to do with really, that was an album that was birthed as a love letter to Blackness and a love letter to myself.
Mhm.
Because during the time in which I was writing the album, I really was learning to fall in love with the skin that I'm in and all the things that make me me. And so that's what it's about.
Beautiful, fantastic. Well, we're getting ready to go into a break, and of course, we're going to come back with such, and she's got much more to tell us about her life and her journey. But I just want to remind everyone that uh, here at Harlem America Digital Network, we've got a new show debuting soon, which I'll tell you about. Uh, and we'll have more about the Foxworth theory coming up. And either our next segment or the segment after, we'll let you know more about that. But right now, why don't we take a short break? And you're listening to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. And my special guest today is Such. And we're going to find out where that name came from when we come back. Don't go away. Oh, thank you so very, very much, Kiver. And ladies and gentlemen, listening to the What's Hot Harlem America show with G. Keith Alexander, we are sitting here with Such, and we're going to find out where that name comes from. But before we do that, I want to know. Tell me about your following in the UK. How did you get that following?
Honestly, I feel like with the UK soul charts, they just started loving my music, and so I've toured there a couple of times. I've gone there with sort of a what was it called? Oh my gosh! Basically, the first time that I toured, like I did London, Birmingham, and Manchester, was with a collective where it was several artists from all over the world,
Mhm.
and it was way too much fun. I made really great friends on that trip. And the second time that I toured, I actually was opening up for PJ Morton, and we did London and Birmingham, and it was just in Manchester, and it was way too much fun. So I think that has definitely helped. But they've always just really enjoyed and loved my music,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it's been beautiful.
Well, and then also now, and speaking of following, I went on your Instagram. You got 34,000 followers,
Yeah.
cheese and crackers. Uh, that is great. So, all right, now I understand that in Africa, you won their equivalent of a Grammy. Tell us about
Yes.
that.
It's called an AFRIMA award. So, and this is like the power of social media. So, one day, a DJ Icy Tat, he's from Zimbabwe, he reached out to me and he told me that he wanted to do a remix of one of my songs.
Hmm.
And I was like, absolutely. So he was like, send me the stems. Like, I listened to his stuff. I was like, oh, yeah, I love it. And so I sent him, the stems, and he made this awesome remix. And we actually, and then like, we found out that there were, Afrima stuff, and we just ended up, we like sparked a friendship. Till this day, I have not met him, but we still chat all the time. And so we ended up getting nominated, and then we actually won. And it was like, what? For like best dance like duo. It was too unreal. It's really one of the coolest things about how my music has done things that I wouldn't have even thought, or how just making the decision to become a singer has just opened up doors that I wouldn't have even imagined.
Well, okay. So did you have to give an acceptance speech or anything via Zoom
What's
or?
so crazy that I was trying to go? No, I wasn't even able to go. And so DJ Ice Cat, he was the one who had to do it on my behalf. But the Africa Award is in my studio at home, and it is awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's great. So your latest single, or I should say, Before Dark, is Before Dark your latest single now?
It's not. My latest single is All I Want, and right now it's top 20 in the R&B Billboard charts. So it's doing really well.
Did you write that as well?
I did. I did. Yeah.
Boy, you're amazing. You're doing great.
Thank you.
How long have you been at this
I would
professionally?
say professionally, full time since 2012.
Since
Hmm.
2012.
That's when
Okay.
I quit my nursing job. So yeah.
Speaking of nursing, what do you think about the pandemic? Could you have uh, been committed uh, as a nurse during this time had you stayed?
Had I stayed as like an active nurse,
Yes.
absolutely I could have, but I haven't been active as a nurse for a long time. um, I think everything that's going on with the pandemic, I still have nursing friends. My best friend's a nurse, and it's no joke, And so I really think people should take it seriously. It's not over. I know that like we feel like it's over, but there's very much, still a pandemic out there. And so I think it's so important for us to wear our masks and especially me as I'm going out and performing now,
Hmm. Hmm.
to the masses, and I'm in groups. I think it's really important for us to still stay masked up and you know um, and take all the precautions and protections that we need. So
So, all right. Now, I know our listeners and our viewers, because this is on Zoom, and right now people are listening to the audio on both harlemamerica.com and also on the Voice America Variety Channel. But later on, we're going to take this Zoom video and put it in
mhm.
post production, and we're going to add some photos of you and so forth and so on. So people will later on be able to see it on Harlem America TV,
Oh,
which
awesome.
which will be on all of the platforms,
Hmm.
Apple TV, Android, and Roku. So uh, I know that folks will want to know, where did the name Such come from? How did it originate? How long
Yeah.
once it came to mind, from either when you thought of it or someone else thought of it and said, "Hey, this is what I think maybe should be." How long did it take for it to ruminate in your mind before you said, "Oh, okay, all right"? So give us the whole history of
Yeah.
how that name came to be your identity and your brand.
Yeah, for sure. So such comes from the first two letters of my first name and the first letters of my last. My first name is France. My last name is Charles. So Such. That's where it comes from. Um, when I
Uh,
was coming
I-
up, like,
I'm sorry. We had a little technical difficulty there. Will you restate what your first name is? Because we kind of dropped out there a little bit.
Absolutely. So my first name is Sul France, Sul France. My
Mhm.
last name is Charles. So such comes from the first two letters of my first name and the first two letters of my last name. And when I was coming up with this, I was thinking about how I wanted to have a stage name or a nickname that was still me, but still just like a little removed. So such is still my name, but just a tiny bit removed. Also, a good friend of mine, she asked me, she was like, okay, such is cute, but like, what is the meaning behind it?
Mhm.
And so when I looked up, the word such can be used in two ways, one to exemplify something and one to amplify something.
Mhm.
And so I want to be an example of, and I want to amplify all that's good and beautiful and real, authentic, and put it in my music. So the reason why I'm such is twofold.
That is a very clever uh, way to tag yourself and give
Yeah.
yourself a much, uh, I mean, I'm sure people, when they say the name such, people are waiting for such what? Such, wait, you said such. What else? Such what?
Right. What
You
else
know,
is, right? What's coming
right.
after the
Yeah,
such?
but okay, this is great. So, what you're touring, what now that COVID is over, I shouldn't say COVID is over, but folks are coming back out
Right.
again.
Right.
Tell us about your tours and some of the cities that our audience can catch you in.
Absolutely. So, well, first off, I would say join my touring calendar, and you can do that at iamsuch.com. And also, you were talking about my Instagram. I'm super active on my Instagram. It's at iamsuch, and I will keep you up to date as new dates keep popping up. I just was in Chicago last night. Don't worry, I'm gonna come back at some point. I will. I will. I did Boston. What's coming up next in October 14th? I'm going to be in DC. I'm going to be doing Soul Fest Cancun.
Mm,
I'm really excited about
nice,
that.
nice.
And then there are other dates in the works. So um, I'm excited that we're slowly but surely coming back out. I have missed performing. It's been
Hmm.
such a drought,
Hmm.
and it's been too awesome.
Wow. All right. So tell us a little bit about your connection to Haiti.
Mhm.
You're involved with some relief efforts. Uh, tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. When the earthquake hit Haiti in 2010, at the time I was still a nurse. And actually, it's one of the reasons that I actually like that it was one of the catalysts for me to become a singer. But when the earthquake hit Haiti, I went down there. I had family members who had a hospital that had been at the epicenter of the earthquake that had collapsed. I started a nonprofit in which we rebuilt the hospital. And
Mhm.
thank God, with this earthquake that just happened, the hospital is still intact. Definitely needs resources. The hospital is called Camijo, but it was there that I realized that, life is short. I went
Mhm.
down there, I was there for 6 weeks. And I remember telling my job, here that I was like, I don't know if I'm coming back. I don't know. You can keep the job, you can let it go. I don't know. But one of the reasons why I came back was because I realized that, life was short. I'd always known music was my thing. And I had to figure out how to do music. Um, and I think that that was one of those life-changing moments where you can see the like the paths, and you're like, I have a clear choice here. I can go this way or I can go this way. And I chose a clear path. So um yeah.
Have you been back to Haiti anytime
Yes, I have.
recently?
Not, I would say the last time I was in Haiti was about 4 years ago. Um, there's been a lot going on. And so I haven't been able to get back as much as I would like to. And of course, with all that's happened this year, it's a lot.
It's a lot, for
Hmm.
sure, for sure, for sure. So, how did you meet your new manager? I've known him from the record business.
Hmm.
Great guy. He knows his business. How did you meet Kevin? Kevin Harwood.
So I met Kevin through Charles Whitfield. So basically, I was performing in New York, and I had reached out to Charles Whitfield, and I
Hmm.
asked him, I was like, what tastemakers should I invite to my show? And he said, you should definitely invite Kevin Harewood. And so I reached out to Kev and, told him, hey, I'm having a show, would love for you to come out, that sort of thing. And he was like, I'm going to be doing, some production stuff. I'm going to do my best. Hopefully I'll make it. But if not, this is my number. We can always chat. So he actually didn't make it to the show, which didn't surprise me because I think at that time, like, not that many people were coming to my shows. I would invite them though. But what was different about Kev is that a couple of days later, he actually called me and he was like, I'm so sorry that I wasn't able, to make it to your show. I got caught up with work. But anything that you need, just let me know. I've heard some of your stuff. Your music sounds good. Like, feel free to run ideas and things past me. And I quickly realized, like you said, that Kev is one of those people that, you know, like he knows so much. There's so much knowledge that exists in him that I was like, wow, he really knows what he's talking about. And not only that, but like he really loves artists and doesn't just view artists like money making machines or just like he sees them as whole people, which is a beautiful thing in this industry. Um, and so I remember I was like, oh my gosh, I want him to be my manager. But at the time, he wasn't really managing people anymore and wasn't really interested. And so I think we had, he was sort of like in a mentor capacity for a good 9 months. And then I had another show and he came out. And after that, like after we met in person, he saw me perform live. He was like, okay, we can do this. And I was like, yes. Kev is an amazing, like we approach things as partners because
Hmm.
I'm very active in my career. I'm not the kind of artist who just lets like, somebody else handle everything. We're very much partners in this. And so I feel really just blessed and thankful for him in so many ways.
Where do you see such in, say, like 5 years from now?
Whew. I see Such winning Grammys.
Hmm.
I see Such having really great world tours. That's a huge thing for me. I really want to travel the world and have world tours. I love learning about other people's cultures and the beauty of just experiencing different ways of living and letting that influence me. So much of my music is just written from a place of personal experience. So for me to write, I have to live. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, I have to be able to experience things for me to be able to have anything to say. Um, so I definitely see that happening. Definitely more acting on the way,
Hmm.
whether it be plays, whether it be TV shows, but I definitely see doors opening in that direction too. So more albums, more tours, more awards. Um, and yeah,
what what have you given up so far in order to become the artist that you are?
oh man, I don't really feel like I've given up anything. I don't think I've compromised myself in any way. I don't think I've given up really anything to tell you the truth. I'm a mom and so a lot of times people are like, "Oh, did you feel like is it hard being a mom and like, performing?" And the reality is that I became a mother at the same time that I became a singer.
Mm.
And so I just know those things all to be one. So it's never felt like it was a sacrifice or that I was giving up parts of myself or anything. My dream was birthed at the same time as I had my son. So I can't think of anything that I've given up. I feel like
Hmm.
there's so much that has been gained.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, That is a lovely place to be. I want to remind people while we have this moment before we take our break that we're with Such, and Such is such a lovely woman and
Ah,
such a talented artist. And for that reason, you should go to Such's website, which is iamsuch.com. Take a look at all the beautiful pictures she's got. Oh, I just the photos are so beautiful. Very nice. But before we take our break, and we'll be right back with Such, I just want to remind you that there's a new podcast series coming to Harlem America Digital Network and the Voice America channel. Yes, join host Eugenia Foxworth every Wednesday starting September 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern for the Foxworth Theory podcast. We'll be interviewing the pioneers within art, dance, fashion, music, as well as those in business. I say we, but I actually mean Eugenia will be actually interviewing the pioneers in the art, dance, fashion, music, as well as in business. And the Foxworth Theory has a purpose, and that is to help inspire, motivate, and encourage our youth to pursue their aspirations and not let anything hold them back whatsoever. This journey of excellence and conversation begins on the Foxworth Theory, Wednesday, September 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Harlem America Digital Network and the Voice America Variety Channel. We'll be right back with What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander and my special guest, Such. Don't go away. Okay, we're back with such a lovely woman, such a talented woman, and such is her name. And Such, you were just at the sound stage in Harlem recently. I think
I
there was like,
was.
yeah. What was that like for you? What were Harlem has got this energy. Harlem has got
It
this.
does.
I mean, Harlem is a community. It's a destination, and it's a state of mind. And you came to
Mm.
our Harlem, America. What was it like?
It was awesome. I love Harlem. There's something so just energetic that exists there. And it was a really beautiful experience. I loved every second of performing there. I really did.
You think you'll be coming back to Harlem anytime
I'm gonna come back.
in the
I'm
near
gonna come back.
future?
I sure hope so. Kevin and I are working on it. So yes, I will be coming back.
Fantastic. So, do you have any music in your head now that you've been kind of toying with that you might want to, during the course of your tours, you might want to kind of sit down and write? You got anything in you're thinking of now?
Absolutely. I always do. And it's just so fun to hear like a song that just exists in my head. Eventually, it exists in my head. Then I usually bring it to, my producer, and then I try it out with my band in rehearsal. And a lot of times, long before I even record a song, I'll try
Mhm.
it out live on an audience. Like, let's just see what happens. And so sometimes I'll actually have like a live version before I ever have like a studio version, which is really fun. Um, Once again, I think that's one of the most fun things about being an artist, being able to try things with you guys and the audience being a part of the journey.
Very true. Uh, what your next since you're in Chicago now, where do you go from? Which is my hometown, of course. Where do you go from Chicago?
Yes. So I'll be going back to Denver. I live in Denver and I have a few performances there. And then come October, I'll be in DC. That'll be the next thing that I have. Yeah.
Okay, and then after DC, are you?
Is Cancun.
Oh, that's right. You did mention Cancun. I love Mexico. Cheese and crackers. What a nice place to go. Uh, Now, as far as acting is concerned,
Hmm.
uh, are there any? Do you have any favorite actors that you'd like to do a, series with, or
Oh,
any? Is there a series that you'd like to 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 have a role on or anything like that?
um, well, there is this. I mean, I guess I don't. That's a really good question. There are definitely some shows that I love. One show that I really, really like is called The Good Fight. I don't know if you've heard of
Mhm.
that show, but it's
Yeah, that
a
it's
spinoff.
of the Good Wife.
That's right, the spinoff of The Good Wife. I love that show. I think that would be a really fun show to be on. Also, another show that I really enjoy is Billions.
Mhm.
Have you heard of that show?
Yes, yes, I've
Okay.
heard of Billions. Yes.
Billions is a good show. Like that,
Hmm.
yeah, every now and then I'll be like, oh, that looks like just a fun show to be on. Another show that I just finished watching that I thought was really funny and just seemed like it would be a really fun show to be on because what's really interesting is that even though I enjoy being in musicals, sometimes for me, musicals are actually cheesy to watch. I enjoy being in them because it's so much fun. But then sometimes I'm like, nobody bursts out in song like this, you know what I mean? And so there's a show on Apple TV Plus called Schmigadoon.
Who?
Um, it's called Schmigadoon. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's about this couple that ends up like they go on a walk and they end up lost in a town that's a musical and they're just like, are they really singing right now? And it's so funny. They're literally just making fun of musicals. I think that show would be hilarious to be on and so much fun to be on. Um, Keegan Michael Key is on there, and so it's
Key. Okay, now you just
from
mentioned that.
Key and Peele. Yes,
Oh, that guy. Yes.
that
Okay.
Key. Yep, that Key. He's in it, and it's really funny. So that would be a really fun show, also.
Well, do you think now that you've already you've done a stage play, do you think you could tackle Broadway?
I think I could. Broadway is super intense and taxing and no joke. But yes, I do think I could do it. I do.
Broadway now is coming back, and I think they've
I
got like
know.
seven black plays on Broadway.
Amazing. Amazing.
I can't wait to see some of the performances, and including Felicia Rashad is coming back to Broadway,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
and Raymond. I'm sorry, Ruben Santiago Hudson with the Lackawanna Blues, and then there's
Oh
ain't
my
ain't too
gosh.
proud about the Temptations. It's just so
Oh,
much happening on Broadway. So that means more of us will get a
mm-hmm.
chance to uh, to perform on
Yeah.
Broadway. Uh,
Yeah.
I hate to brag, of course. I hate to drop these little nuggets, uh,
Drop them. Listen.
but I once did a week on Broadway at the Palace Theater. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, you're too young to perhaps know who this person is, but Josephine Baker. I was the host or the MC, I should say, for her uh, uh, performance on Broadway,
Wow.
and that gave me I guess my creds, my Broadway creds.
I
Uh,
love it. Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
yeah. So anyway, we want to talk more about you, though. Enough about me. What plans do you have? You have any upcoming plans for you, your family, or anything like that?
I mean, I think literally it's just as far as my plans go, I think one thing that I've learned from this pandemic, and even though we were lulled into this false sense of security that we really knew what the future held, I think one thing that I've definitely learned is how important it is to be present and to just really enjoy every single moment. Um, Now that I'm performing live again, I don't take it for granted because it could very well be my last performance for a long time. Things could change at any time. And I'm so aware of that. So for me, I think the plans that I have is to be super present, to love hard, to enjoy every moment, and to just really soak up everything that's happening presently.
What would you say to those aspiring artists, those aspiring uh, singers, actors, but mainly singers,
Hmm.
people who want to get into the business? The business has changed musically,
Yeah,
and you've got a good navigator, Kevin, because
I
he's
do.
been there before. He's been there
That's
before,
right.
and but the business has changed. Uh, how are you making it with album sales are not what they used to be as far as
Mhm.
people going out and spending 1995 for a CD and stuff
That's true.
when they can listen to Spotify or
Right.
Pandora or whatever and hear the music. How are artists making their money now? For the young artists, people aspiring to be singers and performers, how are the musicians and artists making their money now?
Live performances. That's how you make your money. I mean, most of my merch is sold at live performances. So performing live is really, I think, the bread and butter, which is why the pandemic was so hard for working musicians, because we weren't performing live. That's the biggest. I would also say, royalties. Um, it, it's all about multiple streams of income. I feel like when it
That's
comes
right.
to being an artist,
That's right.
that's really what it is. So, I would just say like I think the art of performing live is so important because that's where you actually make your fans. I think music videos and all that stuff is wonderful and it helps and whatever else. But I can tell you personally that when I see somebody live, it makes or breaks it for me. There may have been somebody that, I thought their album was good, it was all right. Then I see them live, and if they're amazing live, like, and I feel like I'm connected to them, I am a fan for life. Like it is that easy. Or, I may have thought their album was amazing, and then I see them live, and I'm like, like I wasn't feeling them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Those things I think really matter. So when it comes to being an artist, I think performing live is huge because I think those are the people that are going to keep coming back and buying tickets to see you and following you to every city. Like that's why fans matter so much.
So, being the type of artist you are with R&B and
Hmm.
you have a message in your music, but you also have a seductive, sensual side,
I
and I've
do.
and I've seen the photographs and they're so beautifully done. Um, how, do you are you sexy on stage? Do you dance? Do you gyrate? How what should we expect? Are you wearing a gown? Are you wearing some sort of
Right.
revealing outfit?
Uh-huh.
What should our audience expect? All of the above? I don't know. Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it totally depends on what, the show is. But I think ultimately what I think you should expect when you come to my show is that you'll leave there with a better understanding of who I am as a person and as an artist. And that's really important for me to be very authentic, and to have an authentic connection with the audience. So it's not so much about what I'm wearing or whatever else. I think it's just that connection from person to person that is the biggest thing that I think stands out in my shows. I want you to come in and leave there knowing like I know such like yeah such is my girl, like that's really what it is. And so I mean we have a good old time and I make the audience participate, we have interactions, we talk back to each other. It's always such a great time.
I like
So
that. It's
yeah.
always such a great time.
You like how I did
I
that,
like that. Yes, I like that. So such. Tell me, because I'd like to know, how did you get 34,000 followers on Instagram?
I working hard. I mean, I I wish I could say that I had like some formula, but no, it was just being consistent. And also really just, pumping my social media and also I'm very intentional about replying to people and engaging, my social media audience and just having a good presence. I mean, I'm still working on it. I feel like 34,000 isn't that much in comparison, to what it could be. So,
Mhm.
still working on it. And I also think it's a combination of like as I perform more, who I perform in front of or open up for, the places that I end up performing, there's also, that too, where I always promote my social media. It's really important because that's how we stay in touch. And that's
That's right.
how, yeah, you guys are able to join my journey. So
Well, this has been such a great conversation, and
thank
I
you.
am I am so thrilled that you took the time because you could have done anything to join us here at HarlemAmerica.com. I'm G. Keith Alexander, and I want all of you to go and check out such as uh, website at iamsuch.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you that if you happen to be an attorney or a financial person or in any type of business at all, learn how to build a lucrative and lifestyle friendly business with your own radio podcast here at Harlem America. Okay, join Harlem America, and we'll show you how to build fame, fortune, and followers around your business and around your brand. So that's it for today. We'll check you out next Friday at 1 p.m. And of course, thank you for such a lovely time. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Have a great day and a better one tomorrow. And don't judge your brother or sister too harshly until you walk the mile in his or her shoes. Thank you. Bye bye.